طيب دكتور عبد الحكيم، انتوا عرفتوا ما شاء الله تبارك الله الشيخ حمزة من فترة، كم
نعم.
سنة تقريبا كان معرفتكم به؟
في الحقيقة أنا أتذكر أننا كنا نسافر معا في إسبانيا وفي المغرب في أواخر السبعينات، لعله كان في سنة 79، يعني في أيام الشباب كنا ما شاء الله أقوياء شباب، وزرنا بعض المشاهد الإسلامية في البلدين وبعض العلماء، وزرنا سويا الشيخ الشاذلي النيفر في تونس حسب ما أتذكر. ثم ذهبت إلى مصر ودرست هناك في معهد، واتجه الشيخ حمزة إلى باديته في موريتانيا، وركب جمله وحمل معه الكتب والمخطوطات، ما شاء الله صار إماما. وكما تعلمون لا يزال يكرس الكثير من أوقاته مع كتبه وشيوخه وطلب العلم من المهد إلى اللحد، ولكن أكثر نشاطه الآن في التوعية وفي الدعوة إلى الله تعالى، فهو سبقني في هذا. أنا ما زلت في المدرسة. شاهدتم، هو يعتبر عندنا المرشد العام، يعني هو الذي ينظر إليه المسلمون الشباب خاصة في العالم الناطق باللغة الإنجليزية، الذين يريدون أن يجدوا من يفتيهم في قضايا عصرية تحيروا فيها. فهو فاق درجة العلماء التقليديين الذين جاءونا بفقههم وعقائدهم وتراثهم الجميل، لأنه تمكن من الجامعة بين الحضارتين بصورة بناءة، واستطاع أن يربط بين الإنجازات الفكرية الموجودة في التراث الإسلامي والتحديات والاكتشافات والاتجاهات الفكرية السائدة في العالم المعاصر. فهذا إنجاز نادر، ونحن دائما ندعو الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يكثر أمثال الشيخ حمزة، لأننا كأمة ليس المسلمون في الغرب فقط، بل أحسب أن الكثير من الذين تأثروا بالحضارة الغربية في الشرق في حاجة أيضا إلى مثل الشيخ حمزة، الذي يستطيع أن يلقي ضوءا على طريق نحن شئنا أم أبينا سالكوه، وهو التعايش السلمي أو البناء بين الحضارة التي لا يمكن الفرار منها، وهي الحضارة العالمية الغربية، حضارة العولمة من ناحية، ومن ناحية أخرى التمسك الشامل والمخلص بقواعد ديننا الذي هو يعني أعز شيء عندنا. فهو من أبرز من يدعو إلى هذا الطريق، وكما تشاهدون الناس يسرعون ويكبون على شراء أشرطته وتسجيلاته وأفلامه، فهو صار لا شك أن له شعبية أكثر من أي داعية إلى الله آخر في البلاد الغربية.
How long have you known Sheikh Hamza?
I've known Sheikh Hamza for almost a quarter of a century, for almost 25 years. We met in Granada, Spain. He has always been, for me, one of the most important people in my life. Although he's younger than I, he's always been like a mentor to me. He's always been a giver of intellectual gifts and spiritual gifts. And I think in my life, especially as I look back over it, certainly the fact that God blessed me to know Sheikh Hamza and to love Sheikh Hamza and to be close to Sheikh Hamza, this will be the high note of my life.
طيب what makes Sheikh Hamza unique? I mean, what's his strength? What is his strength? Why is he?
Sheikh Hamza is a person that God has given acceptance in the hearts of people, especially of non-Muslims, especially of the American people. And he is a person of tremendous sincerity. He is a person whose tongue speaks what is in his heart. And he is a person of great brilliance. tremendous insight, and he is a genius. He is a person that has an incredible capability to bring the pearls out of the sea and to find the gems that are hidden in the center of the earth. He's just one of the most beautiful people that I have ever known and will ever know, and that I've been around. And one of the things that I was honored with in my life is to be around Sheikh Hamza in the company of great sheikhs like Al-Habib Ahmed Mashhoor Al-Haddad and others. And I have also heard from them great praise of Hamza as the wonderful person that he is.
فالشيخ حمزة هو درس في الشرق، في موريتانيا، في الجزائر، في الإمارات، في السعودية، في بلدان شتى، وثقافته عميقة، ثقافته الإسلامية عميقة، وكذلك هو يعني لديه ثقافة غربية والعلمانية عميقة كذلك، وهو يجمع بين خيرين. فهو يقدم الإسلام لأفراد هذا المجتمع، خاصة أبناء المهاجرين المسلمين من باكستان، من البلدان العربية والإسلامية. كذلك لديه إخلاص. يعني أنا لا أقول هذا يعني مجملة أو يعني مبالغة، بس يعني هو يعني لا يملك شيء من الدنيا إلا قليلا. يعني تفكيره ونيته واتجاهه كلها من أجل خدمة الإسلام. لا يفكر في مصالحه الشخصية أبدا، في مصالح الناس، مصالح المسلمين. أخ فاضل الكريم أظن يميل إلى العزلة في حياته الشخصية. لو كان في غرفة مع الكتب يعني يكتفي بذلك ويرضى بذلك، وكما يعني وكذلك يختلط مع الناس، بس يميل إلى العزلة. أي نعم.
يعني هذا البيت الصيفي.
هذا بيت أمي. نعم.
في الصيفي يعني، ولا هي ساكنة هنا؟
لا هي دائما
هنا ما شاء الله.
Oh, Hamza.
How are you doing, Mom?
Very good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you. This is Kaswara Al-Khatib.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice
from
to meet
from
you.
Jeddah. So I wanted to
Fine, thank
Good.
you.
Alhamdulillah.
introduce you.
Just-
Unfortunately, the other person who's in the film, he couldn't come up.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
too bad.
Yeah, he went up to Big Sur.
Oh,
But
that's a
I
nice
thought we
place to
could go
be.
see Kathleen.
Well,
Right.
why don't we walk up to the lake? It's so
Okay.
beautiful out now.
Yeah.
We'll
Great.
walk up
Okay.
and see her.
Sure.
Good to see you, Mom.
طيب احنا يعني حاليا معنا والدة الشيخ حمزة
نعم
إليزابيث
نعم
وهي ما شاء الله عمرها كم شيخ حمزة؟
84
84 ما شاء الله، الله يديها الصحة والعافية إن شاء الله
آمين.
ويخليها ليكم يعني بإذن الله.
آمين.
Elizabeth, thanks for giving us the opportunity to come and meet with you and ask you a little bit about Sheikh Hamza and his background. You have a beautiful place here. I mean,
Thank
to
you.
start with. And as they say, we are a reflection of how we were brought up. If you can just tell us, how was Sheikh Hamza as a child? I mean, when he was young and growing up, how was he? What interested him? What kind of interest he had? And
Well, specific things I remember. One, he was very curious.
Yeah.
And he was always asking why. He always wanted to know why things were. And he was never satisfied.
Mhm.
When you answer one question, he had another,
Yeah?
just one after the other. And he was a great talker.
Mhm.
He loved to talk and loved to ask questions, and he had great adventures. He was an adventurer. When we would go out, Hamza somehow wandered away because he saw something to interest him.
Mhm.
And for instance, when we were at the fair, he disappeared, and the rest of the children and I went all over looking for him.
Mhm.
When we finally found him, he was sitting with the police officer eating an ice cream cone. So, he would just be an adventurer and take off. We were always looking for him. And one of the things that really stood out in my mind, I've never really gotten over, was when he was about 11 or 12. He was an avid reader, and he told me that he had read War and Peace. So, I assumed he'd read a comic book story of War and Peace, or it's a long book. So the movie came out, the Russian film, War and Peace, and I think it was 3.5 hours, and there was an intermission in between. So I took him to see it, and during the intermission, he was discussing the difference between the book and the film.
Wow.
So
Mashallah.
I was convinced he'd read it, and I was very impressed.
Mashallah.
So, and the other thing I do remember is that he had such an incredible sense of balance. He was just a tremendous athlete. It's sort of just natural. And he went skiing, he'd ski the highest slope as soon as he got on, as though he'd been skiing all of his life. And he played football and baseball the same way. Whatever he did, he just seemed to already know how to do it. So,
and he's one of how many?
7.
He's one. Okay, and his ترتيبكم شيخ حمزة كان?
He's the middle child.
He's the middle child. ما شاء الله أمة وسطة. ما شاء الله تبارك الله. And was he any different than the rest of his brothers, or?
My sister's coming.
Different. And the other thing, he had the most wonderful smile. When he smiled, his face lit up. It was like, the light just went on, and people loved to watch him smile. It's just an incredible, just a lightening up of his whole countenance. Yeah.
And did he have any special interest in religion specifically, or in the Arabic language, or something has to do with the Middle East, or when he was growing up, or not really?
Well, I think my son used to play Arabic music, and he listened to that a lot. They used to listen to music together. Yes, and he did say that listening to the Arab music tuned his ear into the Arabic language. But they listened for hours to.
Yeah, and this was like way before you.
When I was like probably about 8 or 9. My older brother, because my older brother actually plays the oud, and he always loved Middle Eastern music.
Mashallah.
Yeah.
It was Easter week, and it was also Passover, and so they had a weekend celebrating Passover, Easter, and Islam. The weekend of Islam.
Ramadan, I think. Yeah.
Wallah.
So I asked if he wanted to go.
Well, it was
and
actually Hajj, because
Oh,
they
it
showed
was
us a
Hajj,
film on
you're
Hajj, so it
right,
was the
it
big
was.
Eid al-Kabir.
So we went for the weekend. It
Mhm.
was, and so
We've actually prayed
We
in the
did.
mosque. We
Yeah.
did wudu
MashaAllah.
and prayed. Yeah. I mean, my
Mhm.
mom's idea, she exposed us to all the different religious faiths. And even though we were, I mean, the church we went to Baptist church, we went to Unitarian church,
Mhm.
but we were baptized Greek Orthodox. But my mom was never sectarian. She never liked the idea of well, what do you think? You kind of always.
oh. Well, I guess maybe it was organized religion.
Yeah, just the idea of having a fixed. So she.
Yeah. Well, I grew up. I actually was baptized in a Greek Orthodox church,
But
and
my mom grew up strict Catholic.
but I
Yeah.
grew up going to a Catholic school because there was not a Greek school, and I love Catholicism. I loved it.
Assalamu alaikum. Hi.
Yeah, this is Kathleen.
Hi,
This is
Kathleen,
my
how are
older
you?
sister.
Hi, Kaswara.
This is
How are you?
Kaswara.
How are
He's from Saudi Arabia.
you? Pleased to meet you.
So, do we want to get another chair? Yeah. Okay. I mean, something I thought was really interesting. My brother pointed out when we were in New York, because Kaswara was with us protesting. When we were in New York, I called Troy. I was talking to him during the demonstration. I told him, "Here I am, demonstrating, you know, against the Republican convention," and he said, "That's amazing. Mom and Kathleen, the two of you, were demonstrating against the Republican convention of 1964. So this is 2004, so that's 40 years. And you were in San Francisco, and we were in New York. So it was, I thought it was an amazing... Well, what's interesting is the two of you are in the yearbook for the 1965 encyclopedia. There's a picture of my mother and my sister protesting with all black people. I mean, they were the only two white people in the picture, but you were looking a little black in the picture, in fact. My mother used to get mistaken for, because she was very involved in the civil rights movement. Yeah, and she used to wear a scarf a lot and had her sunglasses. So people actually thought that you were half black or something like that. Isn't that true?
I don't remember that, but
okay.
possibly.
Mom tans well.
She tans well, yeah. But I thought that was really interesting, that the two of them were there, and then 40 years later, we're in New York, because that was in San Francisco against Barry Goldwater,
Right.
who was considered, in those days, an extremist, but he makes these people, I mean, these people make Barry Goldwater look pretty moderate.
Like a Democrat.
Actually, we
almost.
were protesting the civil rights platform
Of the Republican.
Right.
Yeah, so it was one
Convention,
issue, because your poster actually
Mhm.
said civil rights is the issue.
Mhm.
That was the poster that you were
Yeah.
holding up. Yeah, I mean, that was such an interesting time, wasn't it?
It was.
in this country.
It was.
Because it was formative. Like you were at University of Oregon and then got involved with Martin Luther King, and you went down to Mississippi,
To Selma.
to Selma,
Mhm.
and worked in those coordinating committees and things. So it seems like a lot of things are coming back, that we need that type of activism again in this country.
It's true.
Yeah, because I think part of what we've been talking to a lot of people in the Arab world, and this is primarily who's going to be listening to this, in the Arab world, a lot of Arab people just feel that, you know, the policies towards the Arab world are just so biased and unfair. And unfortunately with Iraq going on now, and just a lot of and so there's a feeling that a lot of Americans just, they don't really care. I mean, that's their feeling. So it is a general understanding. So I think part of what we're trying to do with this program is let them know not only are a lot of people deeply distressed about what's going on, they're not just sitting at home being distressed. They're out marching, they're writing things, they're doing things.
Well, unfortunately, our media doesn't show that.
Right.
There has been kind of a blackout about the protest against the war.
Yeah. Well, you know, my mother during the Iraqi war, she would go to the demonstration,
So did Kathleen.
and you did
Fact-
as well. Yeah.
So we were aware of how many people were there.
Were there?
and
It was
how
large numbers.
What the newspaper reported was never anything
Yeah.
close.
Mhm.
That's true.
And it was a cross section
A lot of people,
people.
conservative people,
Mhm.
liberal people, Democrats, Republicans. A lot of people were
Many
just
people you would not expect
to
would
be out there. Right.
which is very different from the 60s.
Right.
You didn't see as many conservative people out in the 60s as you do now. So that's a hopeful thing, I think.
Well, I think something's interesting. I mean, I've noticed that even though there's still a lot of anger out there, I mean, for instance, we went to the Unconventional Heroes program, and one of the people speaking got up and started talking about the dumb, fat, idiot Rush Limbaugh, and I was just thinking about just using that type of language, you know, dumb, fat. I mean, he's not dumb. You might disagree with him, but, you know, he's not a stupid person. He might have some ideas that are pretty abhorrent to me or you. And fat is kind of a strange, I mean, for people that are trying to be progressive, to be attacking somebody because of how they look is pretty, and people don't, that's where ethics kind of breaks down. We like ethics when it works for us, when it's on our side, but when we look at the other side, somehow the same principles are often they're just dropped. And so my feeling is that there are a lot of people out there that are becoming more aware of that. I mean, that was one of the things you and I both felt about 9/11 Fahrenheit. You know, even though it was interesting and things like that, I mean, we're all in this thing together.
Well, that wonderful, if I can quote it, quatrain from Rumi, beyond the right and wrong doing, there is a field, I'll meet you there.
Right, yeah.
Right, it's definitely time for that. Well, we need to have peace marches rather than anti-war
War marches, yeah,
We
pro-peace.
need to, my own personal belief is that inner peace is the way we're going to have peace.
What's
When
the
enough
difference?
of us-
Sorry, a peace march versus an anti-war. I mean,
Well, an anti-war, from my perspective, is we're against you.
okay.
Whoever
Specific-
the you is,
okay.
there's someone to be against, someone who's the bad guy.
Okay.
And that's the very attitude that the people that we're looking at have toward whoever. I mean, we're upset with them and we're being the same way they are,
Okay.
matching them. But if we're having a peace march, then ideally we would really be being peace at that moment and
Okay.
putting that out into the world.
Okay.
That we want peace for
Interesting.
everyone, including the people that may be doing something that we wish they weren't doing.